Okay, good morning everyone. So our materials today is negotiation. So why should you learn about negotiation? Basically, when you decided to study in our department, of course you have checked our curriculum, and our curriculum is particularly intended to equip you with professional communication. Specifically, one of them is the competency of becoming an executive administrative assistant. So even it appear actually on our graduate profile. So talking about EAA certification, you are taking next term actually. Negotiation is a vital competency that you have to demonstrate. Therefore, professional communication course is formally assigned this duty to equip you with the skills of, for example, management conflicts, resource optimization, and also professional relationship building. So learning negotiation in this course will provide you with foundational understanding and practical skills that are essential in particularly the role of executive administrative assistant. Let's continue. So what are covered in this lecture? We will focus on 4 elements of negotiation: the definition, what is negotiation actually, and the reasons why we negotiate, and then its principles, and the last will be the procedures. Let's continue to the next slide. So what is negotiation? I will highlight the keyword here. Basically, negotiation is commonly understood as a structured process of communication between 2 or more parties actually, particularly aimed at reaching a mutually beneficial agreement or resolving conflict. So it may involve the exchange of information or data, proposals and compromises or bargaining to arrive at a consensus that satisfies the interests and needs of all the involved parties, right? So negotiation is a dynamic and essential process that enables parties to achieve their goals, to resolve conflicts, and to build lasting relationships. That's why it requires the combination of strategic thinking, effective communication, and problem-solving skills. Let's continue. So what are the key elements of negotiation? Meaning that without this negotiation is not really a negotiation. So the first is the parties involved. Of course, negotiation typically involves 2 or more parties. You cannot alone in negotiation. And of course, with different and even conflicting interests, while each parties represent their own set of objective priorities and also constraints. This makes negotiation critical for all parties since they all have to anticipate differences in interests and goals. And the second is interests and goals, of course. Each party enters a negotiation with specific goals they aim to achieve. And at the same time, however, understanding the underlying interests and motivations of all parties is also crucial for finding common ground in negotiation. And the tool for that is, of course, again, communication, professional communication. Then the third is communication. It is clear that effective negotiation will rely very much on clear and open communication. So this includes, for example, presenting offers, counter offers, and articulating concerns and also expectations related to all relevant and connected issues being negotiated. And the next is bargaining. Of course, negotiation process often involve bargaining, where parties make concessions and adjustment to their initial positions to reach a compromise, or what we usually call consensus. Then 5, problem solving. Basically, negotiation is also a problem-solving process because it requires creativity and collaboration to find out solutions that will satisfy the interests of all parties. And the last is agreement. The ultimate aim of negotiation is, of course, to reach an agreement that is acceptable to all parties. Agreement but not acceptable to one of the parties is not a successful negotiation, of course. And even without agreement, negotiation, of course, fails. So this agreement should be clear, specific, and achievable. Then only with this criteria it will be acceptable for all parties. Let's continue to why negotiation. What is the importance of negotiation, particularly in a professional context? Negotiation is basically fundamental aspects of human interaction, serving as a vital process for reaching agreements and resolving conflicts in various contexts, from business context, for example, business transactions, to interpersonal relationship, daily basis. And the primary reasons for negotiations revolve around actually two key objectives. So the first is seeking an agreement, and then the second, resolving issues in an accepted way. So let's try to discuss one by one. So seeking for an agreement. One of the main reasons for negotiation, of course, is the pursuit of a mutually beneficial agreement, of course. And this process involves several key elements, such as common interests, of course. Negotiations often arise when two or more parties have the overlapping interests and goals. For instance, in a business context, a company might negotiate with a supplier to secure better pricing in terms of while ensuring the supplier's continued business. And both parties aim to reach an agreement, of course, that satisfies their respective needs and goals. And the second, resource allocation. Negotiation is essential for the allocation of resources, whether they are financial, human, or material. For example, during budget planning, different departments within an organization might negotiate to allocate funds in a manner that aligns with organizational priorities while addressing each department's needs, of course. And partnership and collaborations is the next. Forming partnership and collaborations often requires negotiations to establish the terms of relationship itself. This could include joint ventures, strategic alliances, and any cooperative effort where both parties must agree on roles, responsibilities, and benefits. Also, creating value. Effective negotiation seeks to create value for all parties involved, and this is often referred to as a win-win scenario that we will learn more specifically later, where the outcome of the negotiation enhances the position of each party. And this is great in negotiation. So by collaborating and understanding each other's needs, parties can discover innovative solutions that provide greater benefits than initially anticipated. And the second is resolving issues in an accepted way. So we have to remember that negotiation is also crucial for resolving disputes and conflicts in a manner that is, of course, acceptable to all involved parties. And this aspect focuses on finding solutions that address the concerns and interests of each side. So it is usually characterized with conflict resolution. So disputes are an inevitable part of any interaction, whether personal or professional. So negotiation provides a structured method for addressing and resolving these complicated conflicts. For example, in a workplace setting, conflicts between employees or departments can be mediated through negotiation to reach a resolution that maintains harmony and also productivity in workplace. And then compromise and concessions. What is this? Often resolving an issue requires compromise from both sides of in negotiation. So in this case, negotiation facilitates this process by allowing parties to make concession and adjustment to their initial position actually. Yeah, why? Because we need to reach a mutually acceptable solution for both conflicting parties. And this is particularly important in legal dispute, any legal negotiations, and also especially international diplomacy is also applicable in this context. Then maintaining a relationship, the way conflict are resolved can actually significantly impact on the ongoing relationship. So negotiation in this case seek to resolve issues in a manner that preserves and even strengthens relationship. So by engaging in open dialogue and seeking fair solutions, parties can build trust and mutual respect, which are essential for long-term, in this case, cooperation, not only short-term cooperation. And the last, legal and ethical considerations is also a part of it. So in many cases, resolving issues through negotiation is preferable to litigation or other adversarial process. So what is adversarial process? So negotiation can be more cost-effective, quicker, and less damaging to relationship. So additionally, negotiated solutions often provide more flexibility and creativity in addressing the underlying issues compared to rigid legal ruling. Next, then continue to the principles of negotiation. So I have to assert here that effective negotiation involves adhering to certain key principles that help in reaching a fair and mutually beneficial agreement. So the first will be to separate the person from the issue. This principle is very important. It emphasizes the importance of addressing the problem independently of the individuals involved. Don't look at the individual, but look at the problem. So it focuses on maintaining a respectful and objective stance toward the other party while dealing with the core issues at hand. So what should be done when negotiating underpinned by this principle? Of course, please avoid personal attack. So personal criticism and emotional responses can, of course, escalate conflict and hinder productive dialogue. Just focus on the issue rather than the individual. And then what we can do next is make sure to maintain professionalism. What is professionalism? Treat the other party with respect and professionalism, regardless of disagreement. So it doesn't matter whether you disagree, but treat everyone respectfully and professionalism. So this helps in building and maintaining a positive relationship. So another thing that we can do is that to demonstrate empathy and understanding. So we need to learn, recognize, and respect the emotions, needs, and concerns of other parties. And we need to also demonstrate empathy to foster a collaborative atmosphere within the negotiation. And what we can do next? Focus on interest, not position. If we focus on position, it will lead to more emotion. So understanding the underlying interest behind each parties, in this case, of course, is very, very helpful to find the common ground and developing mutually beneficial solutions. And the second one is negotiate not position focused but interest oriented. What does it mean? Not position focused but interest oriented. So shifting the focus from rigid positions to underlying interests will allow us for more creative and flexible solutions that address the real needs of both parties. Absolutely. And what we can do here, we need to identify interest first, of course. Determine the fundamental needs, desire, and concern that are driving each party's position, of course, including your position, but also inclusively other positions as well. For example, in a salary negotiation, an employee's position might be a specific salary amount, but actually their underlying interest could be actually not only a matter of amount of salary, but financial security can be, or maybe recognition of their contributions. And then what we can do later next is to ask why, focusing yourself on the question why. So it means that you try to find out something behind it. That's why you need to use probing question to probe something, deeper information. So to uncover the underlying reasons behind a party's stated positions. So this helps in understanding their true motivation, rather than just looking at what is likely appear based on the explicit statements. Then what we can do later is explore common interests. So we need to identify shared interests that can serve as the basis for win-win solution. So win-win solution is always good in negotiation. So common interests often provide a foundation for collaboration. And also flexibility is also important. So please be willing to explore multiple ways, not only one card, but also other options that need to be explored. Just why? Because we need to explore how to satisfy the interests of both parties, not only our parties. So this, of course, will lead to more innovative and effective solutions. And the next principle is develop criteria that a solution must fulfill. What is your criteria? Need to be developed in negotiation. So establishing objective criteria in this case will ensure that the solutions are really fair, reasonable, and based on legitimate standard rather than biased demands, it's unclear demands, or perhaps we usually call this as arbitrary demands. And what we can do here, make sure to use objective standards such as market value, perhaps legal standard, or perhaps you can also use expert opinions to guide the negotiation. For instance, in a contract negotiation, industry standard can usually serve as a basis for determining fair terms. So it is important benchmark. Then the second factor is ensure that the criteria are fair and acceptable to both parties. So this builds trust and makes it easier to agree on a solution. And transparency, of course, very important in this criteria. So clearly communicate the criteria to all parties involved. Don't just keep silent yourself, even though you have actually such kind of criteria. So you have to deliver, you have to communicate your transparency criteria to other parties. So this promotes understanding and agreement on the standards being used. Consistency actually is also important. Apply the criteria consistently throughout the negotiation process to maintain integrity and fairness. And the last principle will be you should have different opinion to choose from. So what does it mean? Let's discuss this. So having multiple options is very important here. It means that you have to find out multiple options, don't only one option. So it actually increases the likelihood of finding a mutually acceptable solution and provide flexibility in negotiation with other parties. So what we can do then, of course, the first that you can do is brainstorming. So it is important to engage in an effective brainstorming sessions to just generate a variety of possible solutions. And then we need to encourage creativity and open-mindedness during this process. Then you don't forget to evaluate options. We need to assess the feasibility, pros and cons of each option. Don't just look at and glance, for example, just in a short time, but you need to check feasibility, pros and cons for each, and then consider how well each option meets the interests of and criteria of both involved parties. Then, flexibility, being open to multiple options, then allows you for positive adjustment and also compromises. So both are very important in negotiation, right? Because if you don't show any flexibility, then of course there will be no negotiation at all. So it also helps in finding alternative paths when initial proposals are rejected. And I will also introduce BATNA principle. So what is BATNA principle? BATNA means best alternative to a negotiated agreement. So it is a practical. You can develop a strong BATNA to understand your alternatives if the negotiation fails. It is important. So many cases shows that when a party of who negotiate cannot anticipate this, then of course the negotiation will, yes, absolutely fails. There is no solution anticipated. So BATNA is very important to anticipate, and this provides leverage actually and ensures that you do not agree to unfavorable terms out of a kind of failure or desperation. Let's continue the strategies. So basically, there are 4 strategies. So in this case, we need to pay attention that negotiation can be approached in different ways, and of course it depends on the goals, strategies, and also attitudes of the parties involved in negotiation. 4 common types of negotiation. The first is win-win solution, win-win collaboration, win-win negotiation. It is usually sometimes called collaborative or integrative negotiation. So it focuses on finding mutually beneficial solutions where all parties achieve their goals and feels satisfied with the outcome. So what are the key characteristics to understand what kinds of negotiation it is, win-win negotiation? The first is cooperation. So in win-win negotiation, of course, there will be cooperation. So all parties work together to understand each other's needs and also interests. Then the second, effective problem solving. So the emphasis is on creating solutions that expand the pie rather than divide it. So imagine there is a pie in front of you. Rather than divide it into to everyone here, you need to think of how to expand the pie itself, not to divide it. It means that you have to think creatively. And open communication is another key characteristics of win-win negotiation. So all parties are honest and transparent for sharing of the information needed in negotiation. Then trust and respect, also another sign of win-win negotiation. Of course, it is often characterized by the intentions of building a positive relationship and maintaining trust. These are paramount in negotiation. And for example, is 2 companies negotiating a partnership where they share resources and expertise to develop a new product that benefits both. So each company gains from the collaboration in ways that would not be possible independently. And then the second, win-lose negotiation. In win-lose negotiation, usually another terms is competitive or distributive negotiation. So they are the same, just different terminology. So it is one of, in this case, is one party's gain is the other party's loss. I think it is not. I don't really like actually this terminology, but it is in fact available as a strategy, one of strategy in negotiation. So the goal is to maximize only one party's own benefit, so often at the expense of the other party. So the characteristic is, of course, adversarial. I have mentioned before. What is adversarial? when parties view each other as the opponent. The opponent is the keyword. So another thing that become the key characteristics of this negotiation is there is a fixed pie. So what does it mean? So the belief that there is a limited amount of resources to be divided. If the amount, the pie, something that can be forecasted as the profit cannot be, for example, enough for shared, then of course they will focus themselves on gaining the pie rather than dividing or sharing the benefits. So then the next sign is aggressive tactics. So it happens when there is a difficulty in bargaining, and also perhaps it's very strong and conflicting demands, and sometimes it can be in the form of manipulation. So it is a bit dangerous actually in negotiation. And another one is win-lose negotiation usually focus on short-term outcome. So the negotiation often prioritize immediate gains over long-term relationship, while win-win negotiation focus on long-time negotiation, and also immediate shared gains, of course. Just an example in this case, perhaps in terms of negotiating the price of a car, when the buyer wants to pay as little as possible, I think you experience this as well, while the seller wants to get the highest price, of course, and the buyer's win with a low price, of course, is the seller's loss, less profit in this case, and it can be vice versa. Then the next will be a lose win, or we can say this as accommodations. Lose win negotiation is sometimes also, in another terms, is accommodating negotiation. So it occurs when one party is in the demands or interests of other parties, often to preserve the relationship or achieve a greater goal in the long term, but it means that the loss of other ourselves, the loss of ourselves. And the characteristic yielding, one party is willing to make significant concessions in this case, and relationship focus is also take place as one of the sign of this negotiation. Usually one party prioritize the relationship over the specific outcome, and it means also sacrifice, right? It means that a party accepts a loss or lesser benefit to satisfy the other party, and it's usually short-term loss but long-term gain. So usually when we choose lose-win, it doesn't mean that we fail in negotiation because other wins. No, but it can mean that in short term we lost, but in the long term it can gain profit. It means that it is also can become a long-term strategy to win our benefit in future. For example, an employee agreeing to work extra hours without immediate compensation just to help the company meet a critical deadline, with the understanding that this will be, of course, recognized and rewarded in future promotions and also bonuses like that, right? And the last, lose-lose, sometimes called avoidance strategy, lose-lose. So actually we don't like this one because it happens when parties avoid conflict and fail to reach any agreement, so resulting in a situation where neither party achieve their goals. And the sign for this types of negotiation is there is avoidance. So both parties deliberately steer clear of negotiation or confrontation, so they don't want to do that, then they avoid it. And the second, inaction. So it happened in the negotiation and there is no resolution at all, and there is no progress, and there is no progress made along the negotiation, and mutual loss. Both parties end up worse off than if they had negotiated. And another one is conflict escalation. So if conflicts increases, of course, issues remain unresolved and may worsen over the time. So in this case, actually it can be said that lose-lose is a kind of failure in negotiation, right? Just to make it clear with an example, for example, two business partners who avoid discussing their disagreement about company strategy. Why you disagree? It cannot be uncovered for both for both of the parties. So each other remained silent and they didn't want to express their disagreement. So as a result, the company suffered from a lack of direction, leading to missed opportunities and declining performance, of course. Right, let's continue. This is also important and practical negotiation procedures. So since negotiation is a systematic process that involves several stages, it's requiring careful attention and specific action. So I would like to overview the key procedures involved in negotiation, and it can be broken down into pre-negotiation, negotiation, and post-negotiation. Basically, these three terminologies is my own terminologies, just to make it easier to understand the stages, the differences between these three stages. Let's focus on pre-negotiation first. So in pre-negotiation, it is important that we understand that it determines the successful negotiation. So it involves understanding your objective, gathering information, and planning your strategy. So in this case, the first thing that we can do is that define our objective, purpose. So we need to clearly define it, what you want to achieve from the negotiation. This include what is your primary goals, acceptable outcomes from for the company, and also the limits. And that's why in this case we need to anticipate the limits, or actually not really failure, but the limits. What if not fulfilled in the initial negotiation? Then we need to anticipate with the BATNA principle, best alternative to negotiated agreement. Then understanding interests also need to be considered in the first. You need to know your underlying interests and those of the other party, not only yours but also other parties. So this helps in finding common ground, as I have previously addressed. So crafting solutions need to be done that meet both parties' need. The next is problem identification. So in this case, the first, identify clearly the issues. If possible, list down all the issues that need to be addressed during the negotiation, and understand these issues because it will help you structure your discussion and focus yourself on what matters most rather than what does not really matter most in this negotiation. And then anticipate challenges. So please consider potential obstacles and challenges that might rise in this negotiation. That's why you need to plan how to address these challenges effectively before the negotiation occurs. Then determine the principles of negotiation that will establish a guideline for you. So in this case, set the principles that will guide you in negotiation, which can include fairness, transparency, and also mutual respect. And then don't forget also, because in negotiation there will be also net ethical standards applied. In this case, you need to ensure that ethical standards are upheld throughout the negotiation process. So this builds trust and maintains integrity. And then after that, let's continue to the opening statement. In this case, prepare your opening statement to set the tone for the negotiation. Important tone for negotiation, of course, positive tone, right? Clearly state your objective and express your willingness to find a mutually beneficial solution. And in this case, you can also share the agenda, agree on an agenda with other parties, also very important. And this also will provide you with a structured and systematic framework for the negotiation in later on. Then the next stage will be negotiation. So the negotiation phase is where the actual discussion and bargaining take place. So what we can do? Clarify your position first. State your case. Clearly articulate your position and the reasons behind it. Provide the supporting evidence and rationale to strengthen your arguments. But don't only say, don't only clarify. Listen actively. Also important in clarifying positions, a part of it. So in this case, pay attention to the other party's position, and then seek to understand their perspective. This helps in identifying areas of agreement, of course, and disagreement. And the next will be making and responding to proposals. So in this case, what you need to do, present your initial proposals based on your interest and objective. Be clear and concise in your presentation. Don't take a very long time and then repetition. What you need to do here is that the counter proposals need to be also done. So listen to the other party's proposal and respond appropriately. Be open to adjusting your proposal and to incorporate their interests as well. The next what you can do is that bargaining. Exchange concessions is very important. So engage in a give and take process. Again, give and take process to find out a middle ground. Don't only stick on your position, but also try to be flexible. Be prepared to make any concessions while also securing concession from other party. And in this case, a creative problem solving is necessary. So you need to find solutions that will satisfy both parties' interests. Look for ways to expand the pie, again, remember the principle, rather than just dividing it. And the last step in negotiation stage is that resolving sticking point. So we need to identify the roadblocks, recognize and address any sticking points or areas of impasse. It is important. So understand the underlying reasons for these obstacles. Don't just take a look at these problems, these obstacles, but look what is behind it. Seek alternative is also important here. When resolving sticking point, don't just stick on your points, but try to seek alternative. Explore alternative solutions is very important, and try to compromise that can help overcome these road blocks. So remain flexible and open-minded. Alright, so the last stage will be post-negotiation. So this phase involves formalizing the agreement and evaluating the negotiation process, of course. In this case, you can start with a closing statement. You need to summarize agreement. Please clearly summarize the agreed terms and conditions. Again, try to go back to what was happening. Ensure that both parties have a shared understanding of the agreement. And then express your commitment, and it can also actually represent the commitment of your company. Reaffirm your commitment to the agreement and express appreciation for the other party's cooperation. And then the second one here, evaluating the negotiation. Please review the outcome, assess the outcome of the negotiation in relation to your initial objective. And then you can determine whether the agreement meets your goals and interests or not. And then what you can do here is that reflect on the process. You can evaluate the negotiation process itself and identify what worked well and what could be improved for future negotiation. And of course, after that, you need to prepare the document of the report of negotiation. Please, after conducting negotiation so far, what you need to do is to formalize the agreement in writing. So this can include a detailed contract or even a memorandum of understanding. So then Of course, it is also necessary to make internal report, so communicate the results of the negotiation to relevant stakeholders within your organization. So it means that you have to provide a detailed report that includes the terms of agreement, the negotiation process, and any follow-up actions required. Alright, so that's all about the procedures. Let's continue to a case to negotiate, the practical things that you need to do, right? So you are a representative of student organization or to organize a local English debate competition for senior high school students at Poly-J. And then given a situation in economical constraints, then your proposal is considered unnecessary to do, considered by Poly-J, of course. Then consider how to deal with parents and teachers' objections, because the debate will be done for senior high school students, right? So their parents and teachers' objections related to financial prerequisites or participation fee. And then Poly-J can contribute maximally 10% of the event, so it needs also to be considered. Plan your negotiation to Poly-J Vice Director on Student Affairs. Then describe your actions and outputs in the stage 1 to 5. Just focus yourself. There are a lot of stages, but focus yourself only on the stage 1 until 5. For instance, stage 1, in determining purpose, explain the first, what you can do in determining negotiation purpose, and the second, the output. What is then your purpose? So you need to write down what can you do, the first actions, and then the second, then what is the result when you try to determine the negotiation purpose. So what is the purpose? And then type, and so on and so forth. Remember, in the red bold, please write the attendance number, right? Don't write the student identification number, just write the attendance number on your paper and submit on LMS today actually, in no later than 9 p.m. right? Alright, so everyone, I think that's all my presentation related to negotiation. Thank you very much for your attention.